Hello again. Welcome to Follow Everton. For those that just switched over from Chad and Wes's pre-match, welcome. For everyone else from the world of the Toffees, welcome and thank you for joining. And for those that are simply interested in watching Sheffield United or just curious about what we do here at Follow Everton, welcome to you as well. So we here in the States have the opportunity to watch matches without the 3 o'clock kickoff ban. So I'm able to watch just below the screen here off my iPad, and I'm going to talk you through the match. If I do every pass that goes on, I basically can't keep up. Usually, in the TV announcers have multiple commentators covering different pieces, so I'll do what I can. Usually, I go through the key passes, and then if I get really frustrated, I'll go into a tactical breakdown of what just happened live. But typically try to do a play-by-play with you. So for now, why don't we look at the starting lineup for both teams? So up front, they've Everton is sticking with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and in the number 10 role, Abdoulaye Doucouré, so no real changes there. In the midfield, to accommodate James Garner, Idrissa Gana Gueye, and Amadou Onana on the same pitch, they've ended up moving James Garner to right midfield, and I believe benching Jack Harrison, who, although he hasn't been overwhelming this year, for those that have watched any of my tactical videos recently, he has had more of an impact than he had in previous weeks with some of his overlapping runs with James Garner now. Dwight McNeil on the left, he has started to get some better passing and crossing into the box, and instrumental on some of the chances and corner kicks that we've been scoring from. So no surprises there. Vitaly Mikalenko is out injured, which has Ashley Young at left back. And yes, he's getting a little bit older, but an excellent moment for Seamus Coleman to captain, at the moment, his final Goodison Park fixture until he either accepts or declines the extension offer that Kevin Thelwell has been mentioned in the press. So for now, this could well be Seamus Coleman's last match at Goodison Park as an Everton player, and Jordan Pickford as well. For Sheffield United, they can't play Mason Holgate due to the loan fixture conflict of interest, I suppose you could call it. So they're playing their typical back five, where they have Bogle at right wing back, Larouci as left wing back. I'll add in, because they're starting to go through the tunnel, I'll add the Z cars. So they're starting to enter the tunnel now. So as that happens, we have the back three of Trusty, Souza, and Robinson for Sheffield, and Gustavo Hamer, who's been a key player for them through the middle, number 8, and then they have R Blaster. Not too familiar with him or Brooks, but they have been playing recently. The player that's really stood out for them in recent weeks is Brereton Diaz. When we did the opposition watch-along last week, he was quite an influential player for them. I think he was on loan from Villarreal, but he's quite a good player, and I think you could see him in the Premier League. And him and Hamer really are the only Premier League eligible players in my view for this side. Cameron Archer has had some moments, but he has kind of fallen off. He was quite effective when they did bring him in against Everton earlier this season on the opposite fixture, when it was 2-2 very early on. It feels like a year ago, which it almost is at this point. But Cameron Archer, I think they had just signed him, and he was quite impactful when we drew 2-2. That was one of the first games with Jared Branthwaite and Tarkovsky playing together. So I think it'll be interesting for today. I think if we don't expect to win today, that's quite embarrassing for our squad, but anything can happen. But in my view, I think I mentioned that briefly for those who are watching on the pre-match with Chad and Wes. I think the real question, the Blues, is it better than our attack? Maybe, but is it partly because of the open tactics? Maybe I would say Diaz would be. Well, Dominic Calvert-Lewin the last few weeks has looked a lot more mobile, and if you did get a chance to watch the tactical video I did against Luton, he's actually starting to make a lot better runs and time in it now. So maybe DCL is in the best DCL form we're going to get out of him again. But I think Diaz would be a better long-term replacement. Archer, not so much. And Hamer, as I mentioned, as a kind of attacking or a number 6, a number 8, as a double pivot box-to-box kind of player is actually quite good. So I was going to show the lineups. And so the subs for today, we have only the one goalkeeper. So credit to Dice there on the flexibility, but we also have a stronger bench as a result. So glad to see Beto back in. So we have Beto back from that head injury. Danjuma is available. Dobbin back on the bench. Chimiti, who's done well on his appearances where he started last weekend. 2 weeks ago now. Andre Gomez is fit on the bench. Ben Godfrey and Michael Keane providing center back and fullback flexibility. And then hopefully we get to see Lewis Warrington today. We still have Dele Alli, Mikalenko, and Patterson out. When we look at goal involvements throughout the year, McNeil, with his assists and crossing, has been heavily involved, but DCL has started to kick up there as well. And funny enough, Jared Branthwaite has done his bit. So we're almost ready to start. We're about maybe a minute away. For those that are watching live somewhere else, just a reminder to you that trying to synchronize when you're watching the game versus mine. I can only go as based on the Peacock stream. So if it's a slight time delay on comments, if you either throw a score up or potential spoiler, I'm going to try and wait until when I see it on my field on my game here. Otherwise, there's a bit of a delay. And there's a lot of injured players out for Sheffield at the moment, but the game has started, so I will come back to this at a later point if that was of interest to anyone. So Sheffield starting strong on their left side, wearing the basically Watford equivalent to the yellow, black, and red alternate uniform. They're playing down the left side. Archer was handled by Branthwaite, though. Robinson has the ball for a throw-in. Looks like he's going to try. Their captain is going to go for a long throw-in here. Trying to get a nice run-up. And actually a very good long throw-in, but handled by Onana. And returned back into the middle. Cleared out to the Everton's right side, but the thrower, I think, of Robinson tried to do another quick cross. Coleman couldn't get there, and it went out for a corner kick. So a strong start to Sheffield right now. So it's on the Everton's right corner post or corner flag. There's a lot of games going on as well today, so I'm going to try and keep tabs on all the scores, but there's quite a few scores. So if there are score updates, feel free to add them in the comments and I'll adjust accordingly. Yeah, the Blues, I hope not, but I could see that being the case as well. So Hamer's doing the in-swinger, but a really poor cross actually and handled by Coleman. So Everton clear it, but it's back to Sheffield around the halfway line. They do a diagonal to the back post and slightly overhit, and Ashley Young held his own this time and out for a goal kick. So I'll be trying to keep tabs as well on through SofaScore here and all the score updates, but there's a lot of games to monitor. So if there are score updates across the Premier League, please let me know and I'll try and keep tabs as best I can. But at the moment, all the matches on the ticker here are 0-0. DCL with a chance kind of down on the right side of goal, but it was on a tight angle, so it was more of a cross than a shot. But we're seeing DCL again. He's taking on a couple players here from Sheffield and looking quite confident. So again, a really positive sign. Yeah. and that's why I say if he's someone that we can pick up, fantastic. What I imagine is us and a few other teams in mid-table land will be competing for him. Maybe the likes of Wolves, maybe a Brighton, but Brighton have quite a few midfield options. So someone like a Wolves, Crystal Palace, that kind of thing, I could expect. Jared Branthwaite handled himself well there. But Cameron Archer is definitely pushing our backline. I imagine it's partly Coleman doesn't have the leg speed, so Branthwaite is tasked with taking on Archer a lot, and in this case, just enough to keep the ball from going out for a corner kick. So he was able to do a sliding recovery and knock the ball up for a throw in. Yeah, and especially with parachute payments, it's going to be interesting to see if they're willing to get rid or try and come back up with that first year with the £60 million parachute payment. Maybe they keep a couple star players because Leicester definitely offloaded, but they kept a few. So Idrissa Gana Gueye is down here at about 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Looks like he'll be okay, but got a knock to his right leg, maybe the right calf area. So looking a little proppy, but starting to stand up now. He received some contact going for a header and landed a little bit awkwardly, but he's a tough nut to crack. So I think he'll carry on for now, but we'll keep you apprised of any injury updates. So Coleman's doing a diagonal down the right touchline, shielded by Decore quite well, knocked back to Coleman, and they do a little 1-2. Oh, sorry, to Garner with a 1-2. Based on my iPad screen, it's a little bit hard to tell Coleman and Garner apart until they zoom in, but they're interlocking okay so far. Decore kind of playing more as the false nine rather than DCL at the moment, but DCL kind of pushing the back line. So it does look like Luton may have scored, by the way. So Luton might be up 1-0 against West Ham. So keep you apprised on the break there of that update. Everton trying to go through the middle, but a little bit sluggish, honestly. Ashley Young with a nice overlap with McNeil, but a little bit uneventful. And it appears that Ashley Young was claiming it went off Gustavo Hammer for a corner kick, but I don't think the referee saw that little piece of that is definitely a miss by the referee. He took on Hamer, went off his shoe, and I think the linesman must have missed that. But it was probably an awkward angle, but should have been a corner kick to Everton. But alas, it is not. So here at 5 minutes and 45 seconds, it is 0-0 at Goodison Park. Sheffield looking the stronger so far, I think, but certainly DCL's looking back to his physical best and taking on players and making the back line of Sheffield, which, surprise, surprise, is scoring, having 100 goals against you in a season. We're looking, he's going to take them on and make them look uncomfortable. So let me check the score updates. I believe there was a goal, which is confirmed by, is it Sambi Lokonga? So Luton are up 1-0 after 7 minutes. At I forgot what it's not the Berlin ground anymore. Whatever the stadium they have is in the west of Ham. The Olympic Stadium, was it? No, I forget. Anyway, West Ham have really dropped off at the end of this season, and Luton are fighting for their lives. And I guess credit to them as much as we were willing to give them for giving the relegation battle a bit of a shot here. So Coleman was able to recover from a diagonal on the left side. Pickford's passing to the middle, a little bit risky to Gana Gueye, but he handled it comfortably and knocked it to Ashley Young, who's now migrating down that left side. He goes for a diagonal, but doesn't get past the first man and turned over to Sheffield. So Ashley Young's looking okay defensively, and trying to take some players on, but he doesn't have the leg speed to knock it past and get to the player there. But lucky for us, Sheffield through Bogle couldn't hold the ball. So he receives it and it goes off his ankle somehow, and it's a throw into Everton on the left side. Ashley Young looking to kind of either work the way up the wing or maybe he decides to go back to the centre halves. We'll see. Okay, so plays through to Corey, but the wrong option there and cause a turnover. They try and take on Branthwaite to no avail, so Diaz unsuccessful. So again, credit to Branthwaite. Pickford's knocking it to Coleman. He's trying to do a chip ball over the top, but he was good pressure from the Sheffield United player, and I think he chipped it out of bounds because he didn't have enough time to release the ball properly. So it's 8 minutes 15 here. The main highlight from around the fixtures is the early goal to Luton through Sambi Lakonga. Everything else, I believe, is still 0-0. Everton here looking okay, but against a worn-out Sheffield United side, they're not breaking them down, but they are trying to take on a player from time to time. But I suppose for Sheffield's case, maybe they are a bit more relaxed, and Brereton Diaz is quite a good player. Hasn't stood out so far. It's all been through Cameron Archer, which has been a great contest, actually, that has generally been won by Jared Branthwaite, but just because he's got the leg speed that none of the Everton players have. And that's something to think about for next season as well. If we play a higher line like we're doing recently to try and win the ball back with a lot of numbers in the middle of the field, we have to play that high line, and the only player that can really do that would be Ben Godfrey or Jared Branthwaite. McNeil getting shoved over on the ball, and I think one in a card from Hamer, who looks like he kind of double-handed shoved him. Okay. He wanted a yellow card, but I'm not sure that's fair. I think Hamer actually went in. He kind of made contact through his kind of hip and shoulder to get to the ball, but honestly, I think that shouldn't be a yellow. I prefer that level of physical contact in the sport, but each their own. But as a result, it's a free kick to Everton. I think it's right around the halfway line, just outside the kickoff circle. McNeil's going to be taking it, doing a switch to the right back post. The header is one, but the next pinball went to Sheffield, but McNeil's on the ball again. A chip over to Kure, and I think going to be called offside, but either way, he tried to knock it, switch it back from back post to front post to DCL, but didn't make it there, and the keeper received it. So it looked like he was either going on goal or going to DCL, but stuck in two minds. So Sheffield have the ball through the middle here. Everton playing that 4-4-2 out of possession a lot of the time here. Occasionally, Doucouré will migrate as a fifth midfielder to block out space, but Sheffield aren't building the ball that effectively through. They're trying to do little triangles. They tried to chip it through the middle here and got lucky and giving us the ball after trying to break away from Everton's press, and Branthwaite receives it pretty comfortably. Pickford's on the ball right on the 18-yard box. Passing back to Branthwaite here at 11 minutes and 7 seconds. We have Ashley Young passes to Doucouré, McNeil. This is much better from Everton. Five really quick one-touch passes. Onana's in on goal, but unfortunately overhit. That was a rare moment where Everton's off-the-ball movement and one-touch passing really stood out. Doucouré went to McNeil, who was outside of the boot. DCL one touch to Doucouré, who then unlocked Onana. But I think Onana's so not comfortable or not used to being in a position where he's taking on players, taking on the last man. He slightly overhit it. But if we do more plays like that, I think we could certainly open up Sheffield here pretty soon. Yeah. So, the Blues exactly right. At moments he can, and I think because of that goal he scored on his away appearance at Aston Villa last season, we thought he is that kind of player. But when he does go forward like that, maybe it's one of every 3, one of every 4 times something can happen just because of his physicality and general pace when he does get going. But he's definitely improved to me by passing. For a while, his passes were really poor last season, a lot of chip balls or overhit, underhit, and I think he's doing better with that. Oh, wait, in on goal for Calvert-Lewin. And Doucouré, what a save by the keeper. So that was really close. So very much similar to the video highlight I showed where Tarkovsky and DCL time they run. Again, an excellent cross. This time more of a bullet received midair by Calvert-Lewin off his right toe. And then he tucks it into Doucouré, who does a first touch shot through the middle, but it was blocked by Wes Fotheringham, and it was almost the recovery save almost went into the goal, but not. So McNeil is about to do a back post cross from the right side, so an in swinger, and Onana was right there, but just over his head. That was Everton are certainly looking the more likely to score. Sheffield had a little promising start, I was saying, with through Cameron Archer primarily, but DCL is starting to look. These are some excellent little plays here. He knocked it through the legs of Trustee, the centre half, and Doucouré just wasn't able to convert. But it's one of those scenarios where you've got a keeper running in on you, unless you're one of the craftiest of the Premier League or of the world. Sometimes trying to find that space when the keeper's running at you is difficult. So it was handled by Sheffield, but really promising signs again from DCL that he's back to his peak form. I would give him. I think him and Branthwaite have stood out in this match. Branthwaite just by how often he's receiving the ball and doing switching it with Tarkovsky as well as mopping up the dangerous pace of Cameron Archer. But DCL has really stood out so far to me. I would give him a comfortable 7 out of 10 without even too much going on. Looks like the TV coverage here at the Merseyside may have just cut out, but it's back. It showed a grey screen of death and then green, but now back on the ball. Branthwaite switching to Ashley Young on the left here at 14 minutes 30. Exactly right. Yeah, it was very temporary though. Yeah, Sheffield are just doing these hidden hope balls when they're chased out of possession, and it goes straight to the Everton defenders. That time to Coleman, linked well with Onana, and now Branthwaite has released Ashley Young on the left side. McNeil receives it, a little 1-2 with Onana here, and switching back to the middle. I guess part of the problem for Everton is if we always try and go forward. Let's see. Tarkovsky with another excellent switch. His long diagonals have been really really well weighted the last few games. Probably the lack of wind compared to when we're at when Burnley came to Merseyside helps. But some really good diagonals. This time it was out on the left wing. But Onana doing a weighted touch, but I think very similar to the last time Onana was running in on goal. He overhit his touch, and in that case, overhit to DCL, who tried to keep it in. But he was kind of shaking his head, knowing that it was a poor touch by Onana. So it's a goal kick to Sheffield United here at 16 minutes and 10 seconds. Let's see if there's any other score updates across the ground. Interestingly enough, Brighton have scored, and they haven't shown who yet, but that may have just came in. Oh, Joel Veltman. Lucky me. He was brought him in on my fantasy team last minute after the injury to Von Heck. So lucky me. So let me update the scores here. So it should be Brighton 1, Newcastle 0, which was certainly unexpected knowing how poor Brighton have been offensively, as well as how good Newcastle are at home. So 1-0 to Brighton away. But back to the Everton match again, a lot of really poor play by Sheffield, not being able to bring the ball out from the back, but they are where they are for a reason. Everton are winning possession very quickly, and a lot of these diagonal balls or switching the play to the wingers, especially from Tarkovsky on his right side to the left, and trying to feed Ashley Young on that left side. And then the other way we're in on goal right now is a weighted diagonal or weighted through ball, either on the ground or usually hit in the air to DCL. In this case, not handled. And I got Gvardiol. I pulled a wild card just before that double game week and brought him in. think he scored 2 today, which is really interesting. They've been playing him as an advanced left winger. Idrissa Gana Gueye here looking quite effective in the middle. A chip to the centre. Header won by Sheffield, but Everton still on the ball here. Doucouré not the best by foot, and it showed his pass was too obvious and blocked. Onana wins a header and looks like he got fouled, and he's at the Sheffield player saying he got the ball, but he also got the rib cage and potentially some of the head of Everton's player here. So, oh yeah, that it wasn't too much contact by Brooks, the number 35, but Onana, for his size, is very comfortable going down like a piece of yeah. He fell down way too easily, but you know what? You take it. Everton have a free kick here at about 18 minutes and 40 seconds on my clock. So James Garner, the right back, looking like he may take it. So it's either going to be an out. Oh, interesting idea, but very poorly executed. They tried to do a pass around the wall, but it was not well timed by DCL. So, but Everton have the ball again anyway. Coleman passes it to Ghana. To McNeil, who's playing kind of a lot more centrally now. Now Onana. So a lot of dynamic movement there in the middle of the field, which is great to see. It's step one is off the ball movement. Step two is do something more effective with it. So Gana Gueye is in the left back position with Ashley Young. The through ball from McNeil unsuccessful, intercepted, and Diaz trying to get to it, and Branthwaite got there first but wasn't able to keep the ball in. That was a really interesting moment there where there were two balls on the pitch, which helped Everton because Brereton Diaz was doing a quick throw into Archer, who would have been away, but lucky for us, two balls on the pitch. Maybe it was the ball boy from Goodison helped. So Bogle has a throw in, does a little 1-2, but very poorly crafted. Onana was away, almost with a perfect through ball to Calvert-Lewin, but intercepted by their centre half at number 21, forgetting their names right now, unfortunately. Why don't I bring this up so you guys can see the fixtures and not just my face. So I'll talk here like this for a little bit so I can get my numbers of the players. So 21 for them was Souza, the one that made that tough tackle on Onana just before was Brooks. At halftime, what I'll do here is I'll bring up some of the statistics for the match, as well as SofaScore's rating of the various players. But for right now, this was all these ratings that you're seeing are the average for the year, according to SofaScore for the players. So we're at 20 minutes and 45 here. Still 0-0. Everton certainly looking the better side after a strong couple minutes at the very beginning from Sheffield, but either goal scoring opportunities or looking menacing without having the perfect through ball for Everton becoming quite common. Calvert-Lewin looking good in the channels. A lot of play coming through the left-hand side, actually, with McNeil playing a lot more central now, occasionally out wide, but it's giving Ashley Young a lot of opportunities on that left side to do some crossing. But usually what's happening is lots of either weighted through balls that are slightly overhit or underhit. But the ideas are all there. So in this case, Ashley Young to DCL and back to McNeil. So a lot of running for not much progress. So now switching back to Branthwaite, and Tarkovsky has it now. Moves it over to Coleman. There's a little chip ball to DCL, handled comfortably by over the head and through header to James Garner, who's looking for options on the right mid. He uses Gana Gueye instead, who switches way overhit, unfortunately, though, to McNeil, who was out in that left midfield position and then looked like he was trying to come into the back post, expecting a different cross to come in. So miscommunication, but the idea would have worked if McNeil was in a different spot at that point. So hands in the back on Tarkovsky, but no call given. So, and Onana's now on the ground, but looked like very limited contact, probably trying to play for a free kick. We'll see on the replay. Brereton Diaz has the ball kind of by the corner flag. Coleman and Garner chasing. Brooks looking dangerous, but it was a they've now got the ball through Souza, and looks like it was overhit back to Diaz. So hands up and apologies. Onana's still on the ground, holding his nose and maybe right cheekbone. Interesting. So Onana at this point had put his hand over the neck and shoulder of Archer. Archer had his left hand up to fend him off, and then gave a little bit of facial contact. Maybe he got hit in the eye, but it looked like Onana was making a big meal of that after Onana hit him first. Must have been a poke in the eye then from the Blues. You must be watching slightly ahead of me, or you're getting more info out of my verbal commentary than I am myself. So, so Sean Dyche is wearing his one of his many alternate tops. He's got the little grey and black chevrons on over the shoulders and that pink kind of underarm. Everton are holding more of the possession, which isn't a surprise, actually. The way this game is going, it's just a matter of how effective they are at cutting through without going straight to DCL. So Tarkovsky's doing a chip to the halfway line. Dukes wins the first header, and Coleman is challenging Brooks now on the touchline. Very interesting event there, but Brooks was in front of in front and shielding, and Coleman looked quite theatrical, trying to being propped up in the air, but a good contest all the same. Coleman's been doing just fine. I think part of the challenge for Branthwaite today has been if Archer is on their left side or our right side, I don't think Coleman has the leg speed to handle him. So that's, I think, one of the problems now with Coleman. It's if players are running at him, great. If not, it's a bit tough. But Jared Branthwaite again winning the ground duel there. And it also looks like Crystal Palace has just scored at the Molyneux. So when that's confirmed and I can get a scorer, I'll update the ticker and give you an update on who scored it. But at the moment, Ashley Young is crossing on the right side. I look poorly weighted, but the right idea. James Garner was running in on the back post. But handled by Wes Fotheringham, the keeper. So another score up. There are a few score updates, actually. So let me go through those. So one that is certainly, I think, of the relegation battle interest. Burnley have scored through Jakob Brun Larsen on 25 minutes. So it is now Burnley 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We have a goal for Bournemouth at Bournemouth, which is the Vitality Stadium, scored by Dominic Solanke. So Bournemouth are up 1-0 there. And Crystal Palace have also scored through Michael Olise. So a lot of away 1-0 fixtures currently. And hopefully Everton don't continue that trend. But I had that eerie suspicion that somehow Sheffield would get an early goal, but their spell seems to have been quashed for now. And yeah, Martin Jackson bringing up. It looks like an Everton top, but because it's a Jackson number 9, I immediately went to Jackson from Chelsea. But apologies there. Shout out to Manager of the Month. I think in a way the recovery after the 6-0 is as important as if we had won all matches. Clearly, that's better than losing 6-0 to Chelsea in that embarrassing result. But hey, I think there's something to be said with being able to stir up the response that he has in his squad after setback after setback. And I think that absolutely deserves him Manager of the Month. As we were saying throughout this season, sometimes the quality of the match might be a little flat. Everton have been playing okay today, but kind of typical of how do you break teams down. We need another avenue other than switching to the left wing or hitting the target man in DCL every time. But Branthwaite has been looking really good today. going tactically. When we can't break teams down at home, that's certainly something to look at. But I think the Everton form, we go in streaks, and what worried us, and he proved himself out of it. DCL strikes, not enough power on it. Fortunately, so saved by Wes Foderingham again. Yeah. I'm not sure this exact play here because we're at different times, but Branthwaite's looked very comfortable anticipating everything Sheffield has thrown at him. But the way that Sheffield are going about it, all you need is Branthwaite to have one momentary slip up and not be perfect, and all of a sudden they're in on goal. Branthwaite getting some contact by Archer and wanting a free kick for pushing the back, doesn't get it. So it's a throw into Sheffield United here at 28 minutes and 30 seconds on the attacking right touchline for Sheffield. They switch it back to Souza, who switches to Olabasta, to Brooks, who's that on it, to Robinson, to Larucci or Brooks, it's hard to tell. Back to Olabasta, to Diaz. So they're looking a bit like Everton. They can make three passes together and they play it backwards. So we're just following them, trying to do a long ball, but actually well received by Diaz, but no one was there to help him. So Onana scoops up. Taki on the recovery there. Now Pickford's on the ball. That has the option wide for Young, but decides to go long, straight through the middle. DCL did actually really well to win that header, but no one was close to him. Probably, I think, the wrong option at that point. And Coleman loses a tackle out to Archer, who's cutting in, taking a strike from outside the box. Close, but not close enough. So Pickford left it and is already lambasting Coleman there. That was an uncommitted, cautious tackle from Coleman, who is coming in from the right side to make the tackle. And Archer is running absolute rings around Coleman every time he's near him. So I think that's good. Although Archer hasn't been that great throughout the season, he looked good against Everton earlier in the season. And it's looking good again right now. They're showing Kevin Thelwell with actually a really cool little like Toffee Tower badge on his suit. I would love to get one of those. They're probably available at the shop unless it's only for the... Oh, DCL's in. DCL's in. Chips back to the middle. And Everton are up 1-0, ladies and gentlemen. So Decore is the scorer. Dominic Calvert-Lewin with the assist. But that was all through the combination play, really, with Dwight McNeil and DCL there. So a well-weighted chip to DCL, pulling the keeper out and a couple of defenders in the process, and DCL being quick-witted enough to know exactly where that where the extra player was, and Decore was right there. Eyes up. Yeah, so part of the challenge is trying to get... the challenge here is if I have the iPad too high, all of a sudden I can't see the screen ahead of me too well. So I'm trying to multitask. So if I look down, that's me watching the match. Unless I get an extra screen here off the laptop, which is certainly an option. So it was a really good through ball. They're showing the replay here, and it was a cutback. And again, I think DCL has been the man of the match for me. Branthwaite is the other one in consideration. There was a high boot that almost got in, but Decore was committed. Tracksuit Jesus, as Chad likes to say, is working its charm, and Everton are up 1-0. So probably hearing Spirit of the Blues being sung by a few. But for right now, this is exactly what we demanded. Everyone was expecting something like a 3-0. One goal after 30 minutes puts us right on track for that. Onana's looking better today. And just as I say that, the thing that I was going to also bring up with Onana is some of his crossing has been a little bit heavy weighted. This time the weighting was great, but the timing for his cross to the right fullback or overlapping fullback in Coleman was a little off. So an offside to Everton. So Sheffield have a free kick in their defensive half on the left side. I will check some score updates because was his name Jean-Philippe Mateta. Yeah, and the Blues, you're right. He has been looking okay, but it's kind of once he's got the ball, how are we interplaying with him to actually break it down other than he looks like he's trying to make the right pass. It's just maybe a matter of how good the passing is, but what I find interesting is Cameron Archer could, if he wanted to, try and exploit Ashley Young's pace on that left side rather than Seamus Coleman. We haven't seen it yet, but I imagine give it time and maybe Brereton Diaz will swap spots with Archer and they'll try and give Young some more trouble on that side. We just haven't seen it yet because Bogle is not a menace at all on their right side. He's been quite poor or has been for a few weeks. And I think again today he had that own goal last week. So there's a free kick to Sheffield. They cross into the middle. Tarkovsky handled it, and Robinson looked like he knocked Tarky down, but no free kick given, and Coleman cleared for a throw in. But yeah, Bogle's been pretty poor. I think he was the one that did the own goal last week in the match I covered. And thank you everyone for watching. This is a good moment to bring up that this content in particular is I'm happy to do it. Which I need to get myself a new laptop that can do some more interactive videos. But what we do here at Follow Everton, we have a lot of people who are Everton fans, but it's not exactly a for-profit venture. So we love the sport. The one thing that does cost a little bit every month is that football analysis software that you'll see me using, where I do those kind of 5 to 10 minute shorts. Actually, real quick, there looks like there might be a fight breaking out between Robinson. Maybe it's Ashley Young. They may show a replay here. I got distracted, but this is looking like it could get to a pretty ugly brawl if we're not careful. But it's all about Jack Robinson looking pretty pissed off and Tarkovsky looking to settle it down with Coleman. So maybe they'll show a replay of what I missed. But Tarkovsky, Robinson, Coleman, and Gustavo Hamer all chatting with the referee, who, let me get his name. So they're going to show a replay of this. It was a throw in. Headers going on. Oh, that's a odd play here. We just have DCL squared away to Jack Robinson, who two hands the chest of DCL and pushes him over. So really weird. I'm not sure if that's official because it wasn't head contact. I don't think it's a red, but a very odd moment there. And without hearing what was said, maybe it was something that pissed off, like that was quite offensive. It's really hard to tell, but it was a very odd thing for the captain of Sheffield to do, to just double hand the chest of DCL right there. And I think really what I guess it's not a red card because it wasn't head contact, even though, like, when you think back to the Decore and Harry Kane saga from last year. But they are doing a VAR review of all this because they've currently got a yellow card, but maybe there's some other contact that could justify this being a red card. But usually I think it was like intentional impact to the head was where it becomes a red. So I don't know if this would actually quantify as adequate contact to overturn the on the field decision. So while this is happening, Tottenham have equalized against Burnley through Pedro Porro. So my fantasy football team is having a good day so far. So it's 1-1 between Tottenham and Burnley. We have 1-0 Everton, as we mentioned. Brighton is still up 1-0 against Newcastle. And the goal for Bournemouth must have been disallowed. So it's still 0-0 between Bournemouth and Brentford. So the Solanke goal was ruled out. Crystal Palace are up 2-0 against Wolverhampton at the Molineux, and Luton are still holding on to their narrow 1-0 lead away at West Ham. Yeah, without looking into, and a lot of times referees do this, it's like there was bad blood on both sides, but without really looking into what was said, how is that okay to say that DCL warranted a yellow card because the captain decided to lose his cool? That shouldn't be anything on Dominic Calvert-Lewin unless they claim that he reacted in the brawl afterwards. But clearly there should be a differentiation between what happened to DCL and Robinson's action right there, because I don't think it was a red card to Robinson. I think it was right on the borderline. So probably more of a yellow, honestly. So therefore, DCL should not be receiving a yellow. Yeah, the replay of this just does not make sense. They keep just showing a two-handed shove on DCL, and he's just on the ground. But referees sometimes want to just make sure that everyone gets a penalty to calm it down. But then maybe it's a way to say, well, I missed what was actually said, but clearly you must have been involved. But there's no evidence of it. So either irrespective of that, Sheffield can get more and more annoyed, and their captain can embarrass himself in the 37th match of the year. And yeah, there's lots of verbal argy-bargy or comments that I can lip read but won't say here between Robinson and Doucouré now. I think Robinson can get himself off, actually. So, yeah, he might be from Liverpool. I can't remember. That's a different Robinson, though. Or are there many Robinsons that all play left back? Because they have a red left back right now that's still playing with them, who's been there for years. So I think it's a different Robinson. But maybe that's how they draft fullbacks on the left hand side. They go off name rather than skill, and it works out for them. There's Pickford, great save. Curious if they do a VAR recheck on this one. Sheffield looking very dangerous to score here. Olabasta tries to take on a few players. Onana looking good, and Everton are out of the water for right now. Doucouré is on the ball, passes it wide to Idrissa Gana Gueye, who's on the left wing now. Not sprinting, but a fast jog up the pitch. Back to Doucouré, switching to Onana. Using Coleman, who's come into the middle now. A chip to the back post, but a really poor chip by Coleman. He's not having a good game, unfortunately, so sorry to say for him. But picked up by Wes Fordingham, and it's back out with the likes of Robinson. Oh, so sorry, the Blues, you're right. Robinson and Robertson, I got the names lumped together in my head. So Brooks is carrying along with Bogle on their right side, trying to take on Ashley Young, and is effective. Cuts in on the left. Yeah, really lazy defending. Not taking on the tackle and being spun around very easily from Brooks on Ashley Young right there. He was expecting him to go wide, and he cut back onto his left foot quite easily. And McNeil was not in a position to make the tackle, or it would have been a penalty. So Sheffield looking strong again here to finish the half. But we're at 40 minutes and 37 seconds. Everton are up 1-0. For those that are watching or just coming on, the goal was scored. It was a really good little chip from Dwight McNeil, handled by DCL, who's been my man of the match today. And he noticed that the keeper was out chasing, so he did a little left foot cutback and was headed in kind of right on the center of the 6-yard line by Abdoulaye Doucouré. So you might be right, the Blues. I can look that up here in a minute. I just have to. And if you have the SofaScore app, that's how I do a lot of my statistics. I will look up a player. You can click on them as an icon. So you could click on Jack Robinson and then just look at the statistics and see which season is associated with what badge on over their career. And that'll be a way to tell. DCL got a little bit of contact on the ankle, playing the target man there, and won a free kick around the halfway line. Tarkovsky making a switch towards the back post and received by Doucouré, chipped into the middle. Oh, cut back behind DCL. Another chance right here, James Garner. He put it in the right spot, but maybe not well thought out. The Everton players went in that spot, but it was one of those little grass cutters going right through the 6-yard box there, but to no avail. So Everton are up 1-0. I think definitely the better squad, but Sheffield have certainly looked dangerous at points. Ashley Young has largely handled himself well until maybe the last 3-4 minutes. That example with Brooks cutting in. So Brooks swapping with Hamer to tag team with Bogle on the right side was a little bit more difficult for him. But Everton have generally looked quite good. Cameron Archer has been effective for them due to his pace and exploiting Coleman. And generally, Branthwaite has done an excellent job mopping up. Tarkovsky's been there too, and he's really stood out with some of his diagonals and long balls today have been actually really well weighted. So confident through the middle, but the fullbacks have looked quite weak at times. Ashley Young is looking more progressive on the ball, though, and often occupying that left midfield spot, as Dwight McNeil is alternating looks between kind of cutting in more as a number 10 and giving space to Ashley Young, or sometimes it's the other way around, where Ashley Young will stay fullback and Dwight McNeil will stay on the left. So Tarky's doing another diagonal here to DCL. Was trying to head it to Doucouré, but mistimed. Puts his hand up to apologize. And again, another really good diagonal from Tarkovsky. For those watching back, this is, if you decide to watch this game later on a replay, this is a lot more entertaining than the match against Luton was for my video that I spent doing the video replay and came up with only the build-up play to that goal. So let's have a look at the score updates around the matches to see if anything's changed. And no score changes. So the ticker, which I forgot to add back, is correct here. But it is a corner kick at 44 minutes and 4 seconds on my clock. Going to be taken by Hamer, a right-footed in-swinger, cleared by DCL. Garner Gay tries to clear, but was deflected. Brooks on it. There's a scramble going on. Dwight McNeil is able to clear, though. And James Garner is away, knocks it through to the middle. Doucouré is right in on goal. Doesn't have the leg speed to take on the recovery from the defenders, and ball turned over. So Doucouré just didn't have the leg speed of, I think it was Trusty and maybe Souza who chased him down there. So Brooks has the ball around the middle and played behind Hamer. So Coleman's able to receive it. He's on the right touch line. Kind of asking for options, not seeing too many. Garner Gay drops back as an option, doesn't use him. Passes to Tarkovsky, who does use Gay. So very stationary right now for the Blues. I think just waiting for that halftime whistle to get blown. So it was a switch back to Ashley Young, who did a 1-2 with McNeil, to Branthwaite, and there's 3 minutes of extra time. So I suppose they're asking Sheffield to come at them, but this is pretty flat at the moment. Very stationary from both squads, just kind of lining up. Coleman doing a chip ball to DCL. An excellent first touch off the outside of his right heel to Garner, to Coleman, who goes for the cross, and it's blocked. So it's now a corner kick to Everton. So DCL has been excellent on these. The long balls to DCL have also been on point today from a lot of players, including and primarily Tarkovsky, but that was an excellent outside of the heel pass. So DCL is, for me, currently man of the match. I think he's at least an 8 out of 10 for me. Dwight McNeil's going to be taking a left-footed in-swinger, 2 hands up, so probably going back post, and does just that. But Wes Foderingham does a really good fist and interception and jumps over Branthwaite, who didn't want to foul the keeper. So Foderingham has the ball for Sheffield United at 46 minutes and 18. Does a throw over to Larucci on their left side. Cuts into Olabasta and back to Robinson. And again, just everyone parked up in their positions. Dwight McNeil actually acting as the second striker in the out of possession 4-4-2 at the moment. Kind of interesting. Onana pressing and winning the ball back, interfacing with DCL and McNeil. And that freed up Coleman, or James Garner, with a good first touch from Dukes. Going to the back post. Dukes not cut. Ooh. Interesting play, just a little bit overhit there. So a little bit overhit from James Garner on the cross. Doucouré had to lean back a little bit too far and was trying to switch it back towards DCL, but was not able to keep the ball in play. Yeah, out-muscled I think it was Souza in that situation for the header, but just couldn't keep the ball down and overhit and out of play. So a goal kick for Sheffield. That was an interesting one. Looked like Branthwaite was fouled, but no call given. Hamer's on the ball. Pass it to Souza. Switching out between Olabasta to Robinson. A one-touch with Archer. And Brooks on their left side through LaRucci. Olabasta again. Well tackled by Taki, but they call a free kick for that. But the whistle wasn't a free kick. It was the halftime whistle. So I will... it's halftime here. 1-0. Let me do a final check on all the scores. So Newcastle have equalized away at... Newcastle have equalized at home, I believe. It has not been officially confirmed, but I will re-scroll and see if the score update does come through. But it appears to be either 1-1 if that goal is confirmed between Newcastle and Brighton. Everton are up 1-0, as I said. We have officially halftime at Bournemouth and Brentford. Crystal Palace are 2-0 away, up 2-0 against Wolves, who are not ending the season in strong form at all, but Crystal Palace are, so credit to them. Luton are in extra time away at West Ham and still holding that 1-0 lead. So what I'm going to do here is give myself a 2-minute break before I come back on. So I'll disappear and have some music playing. But for those staying on, please, I'll be back here shortly, and we'll continue. And I'll try and do some halftime stat analysis, maybe look at some sofa score ratings before the second half kicks off. And welcome back, everyone, a second time now that I've unmuted myself. So, doing a quick recap of the different players, how they've been doing. Sofa score is a bit finicky in my view. It's really hard to capture impact in a match. I think some of the numbers here are not giving credit to the right players, honestly. But for Sheffield United, we have Wes Foderingham being the standout, and I think it's not. I think it's unfair to say he's been doing badly. He's made a few good saves. He's intercepted and done some handled some of the crossing well from Everton. The back three for Sheffield United have been quite poor. There was that really weird Jack Robinson moment where he pushed DCL, and DCL got a yellow card as well, just for being pushed as a mutual fight, I suppose. Larouci hasn't really done too much, and neither has Bogle out wide. Brooks has put himself about there in the middle. Olabaster is more just a passing and link-up player right in front of the back three throughout this match, I think. Hamer hasn't done a whole lot. What I think is interesting is Cameron Archer has looked dangerous without making that impact, and I think that's largely down to Jared Branthwaite winning that battle, because Coleman and Ashley Young don't have the pace to keep up with Cameron Archer, but Branthwaite does. So Branthwaite's done, I think, an excellent job for Everton so far. Tarkovsky's had a lot of really good crossing plays today, either switching it to the Ashley Young, Dwight McNeil side, or more like a straight weighted ball to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, sometimes to Coleman and Garner on that right side, or occasionally plucking out to Corey. And I think comfortably for me, it's between Jared Branthwaite and DCL for the man of the match so far. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is running really well. You can tell he's got pace to burn. He's every time as a target man, he's almost winning every single header. Some of them are through knocking off his chest, so doing some really clever one-touch passes off the outside of his right foot to James Garner really stood out to me. But he's taking players on. He's finding the channels and doing a great job there. So what I might also see if I can do here is see if I can pop up a little heat map of where he's been at and see if there's... Yeah, the heat map isn't showing enough at this moment, but what it's showing is that he's been on the left wing quite a bit, and he's occupying a lot of spaces on that right side, kind of running from the... You see a heat map spot where it's starting from the center circle, kind of running directly towards the right corner flag, and then also anywhere in the 18-yard box or just outside of it, he's occupying a lot of those spaces. So he's giving looks to both the left and right side, been difficult for the Sheffield United players. So to me, credit to Calvert-Lewin have said he wasn't looking in himself, or the only form of Dominic Calvert-Lewin is behind him because of we don't have the wingers to provide for him, and he's been presenting on his own today a lot. And the link-up play to the goal, which was through Dwight McNeil, Calvert-Lewin, and Abdoulaye Doucouré, was led by Dominic Calvert-Lewin finding that channel on the left side after being occupying the right a lot more, and it pulled Foddering him out, and I think it was either Trusty or Souza, and then he cut it back to Abdoulaye Doucouré for the goal. Other players that I think have actually done a little bit better than I was expecting. Amadou Onana has put himself about a lot. He's winning a lot of tackles, and his passing on the ground is okay. But the second he tries to run forward, which we don't see a lot of from him, granted, but today he's trying to bring the ball up, doing through balls, and actually breaking the lines, and kind of being a little bit awkward in the process, either overhitting it, underhitting it. But it's exciting to see that from him. It's probably a match where, because of how deep and a lot of space behind usually Trusty and Souza on that right defensive side for Sheffield United, Amadou Onana can run into that space. It's also not surprising, but Dwight McNeil sometimes plays out wide and then will often cut in sort of to saddle up next to Abdoulaye Doucouré, and it becomes almost like a 3-4-2-1 formation. And Ashley Young will kind of take over that left wing spot. The challenge for Ashley Young is how he hasn't really he's had a lot of opportunities to feed balls through, but it hasn't worked out on that side that consistently. It's been almost all through the middle through long balls, unfortunately. So if we can put some passes together, maybe there's a chance to put the 3 points in the bag early in the second half. There have been some rare moments with really good one-touch passing. I think it was between Onana, McNeil, Doucouré, and Calvert-Lewin. There was like 5 or 6 one-touch passes that almost led to a goal-scoring opportunity. So that entire left side with all the green, maybe that's why, because of their passing percentage. The other thing I wanted to look at was the benches. So Everton today, essentially, once we get, and I didn't update the goal and assist tally, this is all pre-match, but what we have is actually quite a good bench. The second and this is very much up to whatever Dyche wants, of course, but if we actually get to the point that the 3 points are in the bag and secured, I really want to see Warrington on. Maybe give Ghana Gay a standing ovation for his contribution this year and sub him off at 60 minutes. And maybe something similar for the contribution for a Dwight McNeil or someone on that left side, and bringing in Arnott Danjuma or Lewis Dobbin. I think knowing that Danjuma's out the door and probably not coming back next season, it would be nice to see Dobbin. And then maybe around 80 minutes, we bring on either Beto or Yusuf Chimiti for a little bit. And as we say, Delhi is probably not coming back next season. We have Mikalenko out for the year, as well as Patterson. We'd like to see Patterson back next year. Clearly, I think going forward, he's quite impactful. If we look at Sheffield's bench, and quite tragic, honestly, if you look at their subs, they have more injured players than they do subs right now. So Holgate was out injured, but even if he wasn't injured, he wouldn't be able to play today. McBurney was influential for them. Tom Davies, we know. We have a suspension from Amadozic after last week, where he got, I think, red carded in the last couple of minutes. Jefferson and Egan. So just a quick update. They're lining up in the tunnel and about to come out again. So the cramped little tunnel, it was almost like James Garner's deciding to do some stretches on the little metal railing to block the referee from coming back out, but referees are coming back onto the pitch. We have Brereton Diaz walking out, followed by Archer. So Sheffield are back on the pitch now. They're having a camera focusing on the Jack Robinson, probably wondering what it'll take for him to get sent off after that very strange, controversial yellow card there in that first half, where he just shoved over DCL. Everton are now walking back out onto the pitch. It doesn't look like there's much of any substitutions going on. Dan Juma's having a lot of fun having a chat with Onana. So I think it's been a fun interaction. We saw last year actually, Ghana Gay, Onana, and Doucouré all being pretty friendly, and I think that little click includes Dan Juma this season, especially with the goal celebrations from both Onana and Ghana Gay honouring the Cobra. But doesn't appear like there's much of a change here at halftime for Everton, but I'll wait to see if anything officially comes through. And that goal for Newcastle was confirmed, so it is 1-1. I'll double check if there was any last minute score adjustments at the halftime interval. So 1-1 between Tottenham and Burnley. We have 1-1 between Newcastle and Brighton. Everton up 1-0. The second half has started at Bournemouth and Brentford, but that's still 0-0. Similarly, Wolves and Palace have kicked off again at the Molineux. At Molineux, I think it is. And the Wolves are down 2-0 from Palace from Mateta and Elise. And then West Ham Luton. Luton are up 1-0 away at West Ham. So the second half has kicked off. Let's see. How do I get this better? Yeah, let's do that. Everton on the front foot pretty quickly here. James Garner coming in on that left side now, overlapping with McNeil, who goes to the back post. DCL almost there, but Fotheringham received that cross again. So again, looking pretty good. Looked like a very weird little interaction there where he looks, Fotheringham's trying to kick the ball away and looks like he made contact with Coleman, and then Coleman was claiming he may have handballed it outside the box, but no call was given. But without a replay, I'm not sure if that's correct. Tarkovsky's on it now, an outside of the boot chip that was poorly placed between the two Everton players. Onana with a really good sliding tackle / pass to DCL, knocks it off the outside of the boot to James Garner, back to Onana, who's playing it safe back to Taki, to James Garner, who's looking for a passing option and doesn't see one, but clever gets it right through the middle, to Doucouré, who's now with McNeil on the left side. Doesn't take anyone on. It goes to Onana, who's looking to switch, just declines and finds Idrissa Gana Gay now. McNeil was an overlapping run. He wasn't used, and then Doucouré shanked a pass to him and ball to Sheffield. They hoof it long, so comfortably collected by Jared Branthwaite. Yeah, I think the only one for Poor TV, you're correct, but I think bought back is a little bit I guess brought back, not bought back, because it's kind of a double there because Delhi will be out of contract, Harrison will be out of contract, so that's bringing them back. We're not buying them back again on contract, but Holgate, Onana, and Keane, I believe, are in contract, so we shouldn't bring them back, meaning we should try and sell them off. And I think largely agree. And Onana in particular, if he stays, great, but we need to get more out of him because right now I think his value is about almost as high as it could be, other than him proving himself at another club where he's more effective, but he'll get to show off his worth at the Euros. I have to think about if his value would actually be valuable or would go up in time, because I think the Euros may finish, or maybe we can sell him mid Euros. That would be a negotiation between Kevin Thelwell, any buying party, and the player themselves or their agent. But if Onana is in the middle of the Euros at the transfer deadline, then what's the point, So that's really what we got to figure out. James Garner is starting to look a little bit better as the right winger here, and interacting with DCL. Was unsuccessful at that moment, but came in as a throw-in. Thrown over to Amadou Onana. who switches to Branthwaite, who's got a little passing option between Young and Garnegay. He doesn't use him. He switches back to the right side. Coleman receives at first touch, looking for a passing option, doesn't like what he sees, so goes back to Taki, who's doing a short pass to James Garner. So again, very flat-footed again, just like the end of this first half with not much off the ball running. Coleman does a nice 1-2 though, and Larucci struggling to keep up with him, which is a sad state for someone trying to chase down Coleman, that Coleman gets past you, but that's where Sheffield are at. James Garner and Coleman interacting, but we've gone backwards again to Taki, who switches to Branthwaite. Onana presents in the middle, but they don't use him. Goes back to Coleman. Now uses Onana with a one-touch, a little bit heavy to Garner, but handled. Back to Coleman. So we're just slowly working the ball backwards while holding possession right now. Now Ashley Young on it. Gay knocked it to Doucouré, tucks in to Garner, one touch to Gay again. To McNeil, releases the passing option to Onana, who now has a cutback. So Onana went wide to Gay, who did a cutback and almost unlocked Onana here. Onana strikes, and I think it was blocked by Hamer. We'll see if... Also, to Goodison Blues point, I don't disagree at all. I think what's tricky when it comes to like the word assault, when it comes to Premier League, is what quantifies, and I don't have the rule book in front of me, what's a red card versus just an obvious foul. Because when it's head contact, it's almost certainly a red, but then it gets a bit iffy on what is contact that's required to make a red to me. But maybe it looked obvious, and it could have been a red in my view, but I don't know the rules enough on that for that. So getting to see the Idrissa Gana Gay takes a strike and it deflects. It looks like they didn't call it. So again, I guess it was not seeing the wrong angle, but VAR is not going to capture a corner versus a goal kick decision. Taki's letting Stuart Atwell know, but that was a clear deflection off Gana Gay's shot. He scored 2 goals recently. I feel like he should get the benefit of the doubt that he hits the ball on target now. So if it goes over the top, it wasn't a bad shot. It was deflected, but that's Everton bias, I guess. Whereas Foderingham does a cross out to the likes of Brooks, not Brooks, sorry, Larucci. But again, Coleman has his number. Garner's trying to do the right thing, but execution was poor. Let's just say we had there was after Foderingham does his cross to Larucci, it was comfortably won by Coleman and delivered out to Garner, and that right side of Everton is a lot more active this half. James Garner cut in and struck it with his left foot. I suppose similar to the left foot we were hoping again with the strike against Luton last week, but that one went way wide. Pickford receiving a long ball and knocks it to Coleman. He's got Taki as a passing option, so uses him. Plays the ball through the ground with a one-touch pass to Doucouré, and really well interchanged with Garner, and Doucouré is away. Cuts back to James Garner again. Does he strike? He does, but it was blocked. So it's now going back out to Larucci, and Garner is chasing him down. Larucci's actually holding the ball pretty well there, and cuts back on his weaker right foot to Robinson. And we have Doucouré and Onana chasing down Brooks, which credit to Onana there, he caused the turnover. And Pickford crossed with his weaker right, or cleared with his weaker right foot and went out of play, and seems rather annoyed at himself. And someone at the touchline is yelling at him, and he's given some F's and O's to whoever's giving him flack for the poor clearance. So Sheffield have the ball after the throw-in. They kind of switched it back. I would love to see it too. I would also like to see Dobbin go to the left and McNeil come in centrally as well, actually. Or you put Danjuma in for Doucouré would be another one. So Brooks has it. goes out wide to Robinson, chased down by Garner. He's looking a lot better in the second half. And a sliding tackle and foul on James Garner, holding the base of his foot. And Abalaster is getting a yellow card there. So a score update for West Ham and Luton Town. Luton, the Mad Hatters or they're just the Hatters, are now not winning. It is a equalizer for West Ham. I will check the scores and let you know who scored it. But yeah, it looked a painful one, but I imagine James Garner will recover. He's stood out to me in this second half very quickly. So there's quite a few substitutions going on. So number 3 and number 25 for Sheffield. So that's Max Lowe and Slimane. It looks like they're taking off both Brooks and Larucci. So James Ward-Prowse was the goal scorer for West Ham. Not clear if it was a early sofa score. When they show the penalty goals, they'll have like the actual goal on it with the ball in the middle. I'm not sure on free kicks, but James Ward-Prowse are all the same, equalized. So Sheffield United have used their first substitution, bringing on 2 players. So as I mentioned, basically the left side is getting a facelift from Sheffield United. So Brooks and Larucci are off. Dominic Calvert-Lewin looking brilliant with some dance moves and pirouettes. Doucouré does the same. Cuts into McNeil, but he doesn't have a right foot, so now he's passing back to Dukes, who crosses, but really didn't have was the wrong option. Overhit with Everton players to choose from, and Foderingham receives. So it's now with Bogle on the right side, actually a pretty good diagonal to slightly overhit towards Archer, who's now playing on that left side a little bit more to test Ashley Young. But that left side's been really inactive in the first 10 minutes. So knowing the commentator's curse, kick the ball in the general direction of, I think, is probably the best description of it. Yeah, what you're saying here of, I think James Garner is looking a lot better in this half. In the first half, he was really struggling. A justified strike, but not on target from Bren, Barrett, and Diaz. Pickford yelling at the squad to shut him down earlier, but went over the bar for a goal kick for Everton. So that was, probably not the right option, honestly, for Barrett and Diaz, but he hasn't really been in this game today. I think Garner and McNeil as wingbacks is certainly an option. We just need someone. I mean, Doucouré is presenting himself physically, but everything by foot today has been shocking with him. No surprise, that's kind of what we know him to be, is physical, but occasionally he's not good at passing, but he knows how to pass into the goal pretty well. Let's just say that. So he's a shooter, not a passer. And he had an opportunity right there to receive and do his little pirouette, and ball went past him, so he waved and apologized. So Burton Diaz interacting with Cameron Archer, but a poor pass, but a little bit of a deflection. So Burton Diaz is on the ball again. The overlapping on that left side. Hamer through ball to Diaz, wanting some kind of call to go his way, but Tarkovsky had him handled. Looks like it went out for a corner kick, though. So Coleman was holding his arm. In some environments, I could see that being called as a penalty, even if I don't think it should be, but we've seen him given, but it doesn't appear like there was any decision going against Coleman in that scenario. So it is still Everton 1, Sheffield United 0. For those that haven't watched the entire match with me, the goal scorer was Abdoulaye Doucouré after a really good interchange with a through ball from Dwight McNeil and a cutback when the keeper was out of position chasing DCL. DCL cuts back and gets the assist for a tap in for Decore. So let's check on. Is there a VAR conversation going on? They might be showing a replay again here of. Oh, they're looking at a potential handball on Coleman. That really shouldn't be. That was arm tucked behind his body, and they don't think they went further with it. Outside of that, no score updates to tell you about. Tottenham is still 1-1 at Burnley, so Burnley are last chance for romance is the expression, I think. So they've probably got 30 minutes to save their season. Tottenham, if they want to stay in Europe, are in a similar boat. So I imagine that's sticking around as a stalemate, but probably a couple more goals. Newcastle and Brighton still 1-1. Everton, as we said, are up 1-0. Bournemouth and Brentford is probably less entertaining than this match even, and that's 0-0. Wolves have really dropped the ball in the last 10 matches. A lot of their players seem out injured and they're on the beach. And Crystal Palace have every opportunity to be on the beach as well, but they are not. They're up 2-0 away at Molineux, and then West Ham, as we said, recently equalised at Luton, at their home field, so it's 1-1 there. So if that continues, I think that more or less has the relegation picture settled by the end of today, but we'll wait and see. We've got 30 to 40 minutes to figure that out. So Pickford has a goal kick, hoofed long to Decore, who loses out on the header, but the header goes to James Garner, who is well positioned. Passes to Decore with a really poor cutback, but the clearance was even more scary. But lucky for them, the ball is out with Bogle on the right side, who cuts in to Olbaster. Our blaster, I can't say his name to save me. So it's a turnover again. Decore knocking it to James Garner, who's tucked into the middle to give space for Coleman. Coleman wants to switch a play, so gives it back to James Garner. James Garner gives it to Taki, and we go again. So a relatively flat, stagnant, not able to break each other down little phase here. Lots of that's a terrible touch from Decore, but Onana saved his ass. That was a really poor back pass from Decore. Could have easily been a goal scoring opportunity for Sheffield. I think thank Decore for his services and get him off the pitch is the way this is looking. It's very flat-footed. Everyone is stagnant, thinking they're in the right position. No one. Earlier on in this match, there was a lot of pass and move, and right now it's pass and stand and point for someone else to do the running. So hopefully we see a shake-up here. Again, it's only 1-0. The match doesn't matter from fixture perspective, or it matters for us trying to get up the table, sure, but it's not exactly a relegation panic match. So potentially there's just lacking the energy. Yeah, and that's one of those things that we can give Onana a lot of flack, but man, those kind of tackles are incredibly underrated, and we just take him for granted when he's on the pitch. That was an excellent tackle, like in terms of capability of a player in the league to win a tackle like that. Onana has that feature that no one else almost has in the league. You can talk about calmness in possession with the likes of Rodri or Declan Rice, and they look better going forward, but really not that don't have that ability of tackle that Amadou Onana does for those like emergency slide tackles. Him and Branthwaite, it's almost like you're playing a video game where you have to like jump over like some kind of sweeping machine. Our blaster just went off for Curtis, number 29. Let's see if there's anything on him. So Sam Curtis, I suppose this might be his debut match because there's no SofaScore rating for the season. Anyway, at the moment, what we have is a free kick to Everton on the left side, cross to the back post, and handled comfortably by Fotheringham, who accidentally bumps the head of one of his own players and re-grabs the ball. He's rolling it out to that new and improved left side. But new and improved just enough where they hold possession and pass back to the keeper. So Bogle's trying to do a diagonal. and they look like they may have opened up Archer here. No, sorry, that was some of all these new players for Sheffield. I'm not as familiar with their names. Number 25 was on there. The left wing back is cutting across to Coleman, but Coleman has it handled. Yeah, what we were talking about before with Onana. If he could be an understudy of Declan Rice or Rodri, he's not ever good. I don't think has the ability to be that player per se, but he likes to be in that same position. So he wins the tackles similarly. It's more about how does he hold possession. James Garner got a nice no foul against James Garner. It looked like good contact. It's hard to say. So the Blues, if you're talking about the same one that just happened on James Garner went up for the ball and was contested in the air and he fell awkwardly. What's tricky though is when is it a foul to contest someone who's jumping in the air? Is it because he fell funny that we give him the foul against him, or was it unfair contact? I think I can see why they didn't give it, but it looked bad unless they show on a replay. So Sheffield United are adamant that they should be getting a corner kick out of this, and it's kind of hard to tell because Brereton Diaz was chasing Ashley Young. Oh yeah, that was also to the Blues' point. Atwell also missing to Everton's benefit right there a clear corner kick for Sheffield United where Brereton Diaz won the first header and it deflected off Young for a corner, but alas, it wasn't a corner for them. It's 1-0 Everton and goal kick. There have been some score updates. So let me go through some of them briefly. So we now have West Ham 2, Luton 1. So the trap door for Luton looking closer and closer. The abyss is calling them back to the championship. Wolves have clawed one back. So Wolves are now down 1-2. All other matches remain unchanged. Wait, I put 2 on Luton or West Ham. Apologies there. Update the ticker. There we go. So the last 10 minutes, Sheffield United have had a lot more possession. It's hasn't been that effective possession for the most part. It's just, do we let them have the ball in their back half? And a lot of it's been you hold possession in your final third, and the other team lets you have it. And the second you're trying to break through further up the pitch, there's a turnover. But yeah, as I've mentioned, James Garner's really stepped up in the second half, receiving the ball a lot, coming into the middle as an option. And what I think that's doing similar to the left side in the first half, by the right winger coming inside it's allowing a lot more opportunities for overlap. So this might be another interesting controversial moment. Brereton Diaz seeming quite annoyed and Ashley Young kind of saying what for to him, and he's seeming agitated about something. Exactly what, I don't know, other than he's not having a good game, and when he does win a header, he's not getting the call he needs. So we'll see what, without having the audio, it's a little bit hard to tell. Yeah, Michael, let's see if we can get we're seeing Lewis Dobbin and Andre Gomez warming up, so we'll see who that they get subbed on for, and I can update the maybe the current starting lineup here in a minute. Yeah, with Gomez, maybe it's so it sounds like Michael may have just come on a bit late. I'd say okay. We should be doing better against a side like Sheffield, but Sheffield are not as they're poor defensively, and Everton have actually been able to take them on a few times. So Decore is getting subbed off, so we were asking for that. But again, maybe give him a standing ovation. He's been playing injured for a while now. He saved Everton last year with that strike against Bournemouth, so giving him a standing O as he comes off for either. So Dwight McNeil is also coming off. So Doucouré and McNeil coming off for Andre Gomez, who will probably play in that number 10 role, and Lewis Dobbin will be on the left side. So that's great. Yeah, I think they've been playing okay, Michael. The real question though is, should we be doing better? The answer is yes. When I'm trying to look, other than saying we're a boring team, there's little pieces that we were doing well, but it's been going in fits and starts. Ashley Young has been okay on that left side, largely because Cameron Archer, who's got pace to burn, was trying to target Coleman. Adrissa Ghana Gay has been fine. I think he hasn't had. He's winning the ball, but he's not he's not standing out the way Onana is. The problem is Onana stands out by winning all these tackles, looking dangerous, and then his crosses haven't been up to par. I think James Tarkovsky has been quite good, but a lot of the mop-up role and defensive tidiness has been handled by Branthwaite. And speaking of which, Onana nearly knocked the ball out, but covered by Dobbin. He's passing the ball back to Ashley Young. I'm going to see if I can get an updated lineup card here, because this is now looking at a date. So let's see if it lets me refresh on this, or is my lag going to be too much? Oh, that was a scary moment. Branthwaite did a pass back to Pickford, but in this case, because Pickford, he passed it out of bounds, but that could have been a really awkward looking own goal. So there might be a little bit of a network lag here, so apologies if I'm cutting out. Hopefully resolves itself here in a moment. Looks like a block off Onana and off his head and out of bounds for another corner kick. So Hamer on the in-swinging cross off his right foot for the corner. Header won by Everton, and Ghana Gay on the quick recovery here. Dobbin charging forward and getting fouled, and I think Souza may well receive a yellow card for that one. Or is it not Dobbin? This might be Ashley Young, actually. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot in it. It's a little bit harsh for him on the yellow card, honestly, but I think and yeah, Kevin, I'll update was that you, Kevin, or who was it on gave me that reminder on the ticker? Yeah. So Kevin, I'll update the ticker here. I think West Ham are up now 2-1. Okay, maybe that's just coming through. Palace, although, are up 3-1. Huh. Yeah, that's weird, Blues. Like, I think it was a foul. And I think in the heat of the moment with these yellow cards, like, I could see it being a yellow, but I think it may have been slightly harsh. It's just that Ashley Young fell so awkwardly, because it didn't look like it was an intentional sportsmanlike foul. But it was in a position for a goal scoring opportunity for Everton, but it was also still in Everton's half. So it's kind of in these grey areas, like a pale yellow card for me, not a thick, not a strong Sheffield United away yellow. But I can certainly see it's in the consideration for a yellow card. But weird that there wasn't a foul, because it was elbow contact on Young, and Young fell awkwardly, but falling awkwardly doesn't make it a foul, but the contact, I think, did. So Taki handled Hamer's shot there pretty well. He took on Gomez and he blocked on his inner left thigh and goes out for a corner kick. So yeah, what Kevin's saying, a good result for Burnley so far. Well, a good result for Burnley, unfortunately, Kevin, means a win or they're relegated today. So that's a good result is a little too late if an away draw that would otherwise be a good result. I guess it's a good result, but not the result they need. I'll leave it at that. Yeah. So the Blues, I think, were talking on a very similar line here. That I don't think it was a yellow, but it definitely seemed like it was a foul. But it was also just partly two players running at speed, or three players who were actually in the area, in addition to Sousa and Young. But I think not calling it a foul. I think Atwell, I know the standard for like if you gave a ref a 10 out of 10, you would either say I didn't notice him, or that you gave Everton every foul in the book that you wanted from him. So, in my view, I think Atwell is probably a 4 to 5 out of 10 today. There's no enormously controversial calls, but he's also made misses on both sides to me that just seem a little lazy and poor. But it's not. He hasn't truly affected the flow of the game. He hasn't made controversial decisions, which drop down a referee score from both teams pretty quickly. So yeah, maybe a 4 to 5 out of 10, but he has not had a good game either. So I can't say I've been to Burnley, Kevin, but if it's like a lot of those small towns, you probably have a main street or a high street, and outside of that, it's you're not really sure where you are. Yeah, James Garner trying to make a darting run through the middle. So this second half, I think he's really stood out. Well, really standing out is a strong word, but I think it's been a flat second half, and James Garner seems to be making the runs and off the ball effort that a lot of the other players are not. Dobbin's been doing fine. Gomez he hasn't influenced the game yet, but he is just kind of moving with the flow of the play. Okay, so you were talking about goal scoring, Kevin. West Ham have now scored again, so now they are up 3-1. So it might be a day of tears for those leaving London from the discounted airport out in Luton. So it is West Ham 3, Luton 1. Because if I remember correctly, and I have to bring up the table as we're going here to confirm it, but if Luton lose today, I think they're relegated as well. Is that correct? And I think Burnley have to win, or are they in a slightly? Because I think Burnley have to win their final win today and hope that Forest lose today and that they beat them at their home stadium at Turf Moor next week. But Luton have a little bit better goal difference. So if Luton lose today, they're not guaranteed to be relegated, but they're one more step away with their final fixture, I think, at home to Fulham next week. So if Burnley beat Forest next week and Forest lose today, then Burnley can't stay up because they need to win it. Only a drawing right now. But if Forest lose today and Burnley beat Forest, then Luton have to win next week. So a uneventful second half so far. It is 77 minutes and 37 seconds on my watch, or my time clock on the Peacock app, which I'm watching directly below here of my iPad. So quite likely other telecasts at different timelines. So that's where if I'm a little bit delayed from where you're watching, and I think the Blues might be a little bit ahead of me. That's what's going on there. The goal, for those that haven't watched the match fully, was scored by Abdoulaye Doucouré, who hasn't been great today, but he has put himself about physically. He got a tap in, and credit to him for being in the right spot, but that was led by some good link-up play from both Dwight McNeil and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So there was a through ball to DCL, and he kind of did a cutback chip to Doucouré. So it looks like DCL might be getting his subbed off. So a very good first half and a little. I think he's mellowed out maybe to a 7.5 out of 10 rating for me, but an excellent play for him. He is getting a standing ovation, so I think the Everton fans are noticing what I'm seeing today as well. And what's also going to be exciting, we're going to get a 12.5 minute or more, or 11.5 minute or more present from Yusuf Chimiti, who's come on to replace DCL. So we're having one of those really long throw-ins again from Sheffield, from Jack Robinson, the water polo player from Sheffield, who's got an incredible throw. Kind of reminds me of the Rory DeLapp throws from back in the day. But the throw was handled by Branthwaite, and the header from Ghana going towards Gomez. Gomez wasn't fast enough to receive it, so it's a bit of aerial ping pong at the moment. Robinson has it, knocks it out wide. Looks like to Archer. Maybe not Archer. My bad. One of the midfielders that came on. They strike from out the box. That was Archer this time, but it was a bit out. I would say right now he hasn't been involved enough to say he's proving anything, but a lot of the play, Everton haven't been playing well, so it's not like, is it his job to break the game up? I suppose yes. If Dwight McNeil's been flat in his feet, they've taken off DCL as well. Of the substitutes so far, I suppose he's standing out more than Gomez, but they really haven't influenced the game. Cameron Archer is getting subbed off for Brewster, so there've been quite a few subs for Sheffield. So they brought on Brewster, they brought on Slimane, I think they brought on Max Lowe and Sam Curtis now. Oh, and Chimiti is away here, and Fotheringham is just enough to get there in time. So if you're asking Michael, I think Chimiti right there, just having a one-on-one chance with the keeper is more impactful than what I've seen from Dobbin so far. I think he's positionally holding himself fine, but he hasn't really got on the ball yet. But right there, both all the three substitutes kind of closed down Bogle for an awkward knockout of play. So Ashley Young is going to make the win there on a pretty advanced position near the corner flag on Everton's left wing. So a little 1-2 under hit by Gomez. So that was kind of poorly thought out. Sheffield United are potentially away now with Gustavo Hamer in the middle. There's a wide option on the left, doesn't have it or doesn't take it, goes wide right. Now goes to the back post, and what's his name? Lowe, the left fullback, was just lacking the pace to get there. So let me update the ticker there, Kevin. I think that if that's the case, that suggests that Burnley are going down today. So I don't think they're 2 down. I think they have scored 2 goals, but Burnley have scored 1. So it is now 2-1. So Burnley are now in a position where they need to score 2 goals in the final 10 to 15 minutes of this match for them, or they get relegated today, if I understand it correctly. And that goal from Tottenham was scored by Mickey van de Ven. So Onana has actually done quite, like, he's been better today. I think Idrissa Gana Gueye has done what he's needed to, but he hasn't stood out either. But sometimes that's all you need from him. Coleman overhitting that ball to Chimiti, causing a turnover. So Hamer is starting to look quite dangerous. With a lot of the substitutions haven't been that impactful for Sheffield. What I'm noticing is Barrett and Diaz and Hamer have still got some energy in the tank. The Everton fans are not. They're looking pretty bored. It's sunny in Merseyside and everyone's looking grim, but I suppose the reality is Sheffield aren't that good. and Everton have been should be up 3-0 by this point. So it looks like the network may have cut out again. What's kind of funny is I've got all my other apps live and updating on other software, so it may just be my computer being for a 2016 I saw at this point, but it's holding fast enough. So sorry if there was an audio cut out there. Basically, we're at 84 minutes. The looking like and there's a red card to Palace, so that could be from Nehru Dana, maybe. Yeah, Kevin, I think that's like I had full internet, but it said I didn't, and it basically just froze the feed, and then it tries to catch up the audio. So apologies. So Brentford have scored, and it was scored by Brian Mbomo. I'll update the ticker again, which doesn't really help us for our. We're talking about the 3 million based on position there, and the other update was Crystal Palace. Wolves are now down to 10 men for the remaining 10 or so minutes of that match. Oh, Onana's maybe in on goal here. Just a very sloppy pirouette. Cuts it back to James Garner. Onana goes into the middle to and they're standing in each other's pocket there on the right side. Jesse Garner-Gay looking for a flat Onana, doesn't receive it, and a flat-footed Garner passes back to Onana to Garner Gay. Yeah, that was exciting for a moment and then incredibly underwhelming immediately after. And then a cross. You're saying you sound like an Aussie, Kevin, because they complain about the cold. Yeah, I don't mind the cold, but I don't like the really cold, if that makes sense. Like I lived in Edinburgh for a few years and I can handle about freezing, but too much below that, I'm not sure how to handle it. Chimiti looked dangerous there in the channel, but he was trying to get it on goal and it kind of swung out and away, so he didn't really get behind it. But an exciting little moment. He's showing that little bit of flair that we're hoping for. And at the moment, it looks like we have about 160 listening in, so thank you. If you're an Everton fan, welcome. If you're a Sheffield fan, welcome. I know it's not the season you were hoping for, but maybe the championship might, with those parachute payments as well, get you set up to come back at some point. But outside, okay, no worries, Kevin. But for everyone listening, thank you. And if you enjoy the content here, YouTube is the way for our subscriber base to grow. So if you're watching on X or Facebook, I would strongly encourage you to also join in on YouTube, where you can subscribe, and that'll allow you to anticipate these released content, because we will schedule them in advance. And it's a lot easier to see scheduled advanced off YouTube, where you'll actually be able to see we're going to go live in 2 hours through Facebook, and I think to a lesser extent X don't really show that same level of detail. If you like what we're doing here and also want to help us out as a channel, we are very much non-profit and do it for the love of the game, but there is cost even from a streaming platform and that video analysis software. If you are interested in being a donating member, that's the link there, what you can do through the YouTube on your. I don't think you can do it on the phone. I think it has to be done off a computer. But the show must go on, and I think Everton and Sheffield are looking very much like they don't want to be here anymore and just want the match to be over. Right, it's not even that. Funny enough, what happens here is I actually do like a computer software like purge half the time, because it's just an old laptop, so like the processing speed and losing any processing power, it cuts out. But I'm trying to decide when to get a new laptop, basically, and at some point soon. Hamer's certainly putting his effort in and looking really frustrated with his own team, but he put a header over the box then. Um, so I wasn't sure about that, Kevin, but I can certainly see that. I know, funny enough, a lot of people thought Def Leppard were American, and then they were like, no, we're from Sheffield. We wear the Great Britain, was it the Union Jack on a lot of their outfits when they perform live. So I forget who Joe Elliott was from the Def Leppard band, but do like their music a lot, especially the Pyromania and Hysteria stuff. And even before then, when they started to sound a bit more like a little bit of Black Sabbath before they became a little bit poppy after the drummer had his driving accident and they had to do the whole synthetic drum generation that changed the genre. I really like them. But something the Blues was bringing out, so I'll talk to that. We desperately need some pace and dribblers in our team next season instead of all our players just looking at each other without anyone to make it something happen. So the Blues, I agree. But I will say in the first half, we weren't doing a whole lot of dribbling outside of DCL, but we were actually moving off the ball, and that made a huge difference. And I think you probably, if you've been watching this along with me the whole time, you're noticing that Everton are just very flat-footed and stationary in the second half, but they proved that that the set of players, you don't need to replace them to do what they were doing in the first half. They were doing it without prompting, but the second half felt really, really flat, just very stationary. Outside of, I think, Onana and James Garner, it's been a very underwhelming half. And I think Yusuf Shamiti, of all the subs, is the only one that's looking that effective. There was some head contact. I think it was quite accidental from maybe Bogle on Andre Gomez, and Yusuf Shamiti had a darting run that was just how do I say this right? It was that awkward spot where the keeper has to come out and the striker's coming in on goal, and in this case, it led to an awkward interaction. Yeah, nearly game over, Kevin. I think I'm quite happy, like on the watch along, but the first half was a lot more interesting to talk to. It's mostly been score updates and from the other matches, talking about relegation, and also just talking about how poor Everton have been in the second half, actually. So this is a weird. What's his name? Steve Wilder, the manager from Sheffield United, apologizing to the ref, but kind of holding his arm awkwardly while receiving a yellow card. So that's quite an awkward moment when it's like, probably please don't make contact with the referee while he's giving you a card because it'll escalate. But okay, well, a little bit annoying that it took so long in the year, but looks like Lewis Warrington's about to come on for the final 2 minutes. So we finally get a little bit of, this looks bad. Andre Gomez's eye contact, brow looks like it might be bleeding pretty bad. So he's probably going to get subbed off for these final 2 minutes. And number 51, not 61, not 21, not 31. Number 51, Lewis Warrington is going to come on. I think largely because Andre Gomez's head injury, it's bleeding pretty bad. It's in that spot. Yeah, in that spot on the forehead, like right here, where it bleeds profusely. So I'm sure he'll be fine, but it's for concussion protocols and everything else, why risk it? So we're going to see. Yeah, it's hard to tell the Blues if it's the eye socket. It looks like it is the eyebrow, but there is blood that's gone in by the eye socket from what they're showing on the cameras. So I imagine he'll recover just fine, but again, you never know with this stuff, so hopefully he recovers. And great moment for Lewis Warrington. It took all season and Everton to be safely promoted. Not relegated. And yeah, a sub being sub happens in this case, Martin, with an injury like that. What's the point in risking him for the final few minutes? So we have Warrington on his debut now. I'm at 93 minutes and 25, I imagine, based on what Kevin's saying. That it's probably close to finish for those who are watching on different sources than I am, but Everton are holding firm here at 1-0. The left back sub for Sheffield has looked a little bit better than their original starter. This guy called Cameron Lowe or somebody. There's a lot of every time Seamus Coleman's getting the ball, he's getting claps now, which no surprise at all. This might be his final moments at Goodison unless the contract is signed for that 1-year extension that's been brought through with Kevin Thelwell. James Garner has it, tucks it into Onana, who's in the middle. A left field switch of play to Dobbin. Tries to take on the players, but decides against it. Goes to Garner Gay, who does a quick one touch but overhit. Onana with a nice sliding tackle. Warrington chasing, and looks like Brereton Diaz was fouled, and he's outraged that he didn't win a free kick. It looked like a 50-50 to me. Brereton Diaz right on the edge with this referee today. And was it Stuart Atwell today? I can't top of my head remember. Dobbins trying to goal. This should be an offside, but there was a good goal scoring opportunity here. Basically, Dobbin tried to kick the ball forward. Wes Potternham was trying to get cause a scene here. So Dobbin was trying to pass through. It looks like he tried to knock it forward. It went off the Sheffield player, and then it went back off Dobbin to a Yusuf Chamidi who was offside. But Dobbin makes a little bit of contact there, and yeah, Foddernham's just been that's quite embarrassing when a player just rolls around on the ground like that. Maybe it was a previous injury, but Chamiti was just challenging him, and then because he's been challenged and falls over, he falls over onto Lewis Warrington and trying to get him red carded. It was quite a poor piece of play there from the keeper. So don't respect that at all. I'm getting an update. It looks like from Kevin that Brentford have. Oh, there's some definite score updates here. So Solanke scored 3 minutes after Mbomo, and then Wissa scored in the 95th minute. So update those scores. The amount of games going live at 3:00 today. To update. So West Ham have beaten Luton 3-1. Crystal Palace have beaten Wolves 3-1. And the other matches, it looks like, are still going. But this is a lot of extra time here. I think that's from Gomez, but very close to over. Okay, I must have missed it, Blues. But the match is over, and Warrington has his debut, and Everton have got all 3 points. So, yeah, and I'm going to be live here in probably 10 to 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to duck out here. And for all those that are watching, thank you. As I mentioned before, like, subscribe, especially through YouTube, will help the algorithms grow a little bit better. If you're interested in donating to the channel to help from a streaming point of view, we're now at 1080p, and we have the video analysis software that you'll see me use. Those they're not super expensive in the scheme of things, but they're also not free, and we're not really a for-profit group here. We just like giving you guys content. So if you like what we do and want to making sure that we can pay the basic coverage, feel free to do so on our YouTube channel through the membership option on the laptop or on a computer for you. But outside of that, I'm going to be signing off here. I think David will be joining me for the post-match here, and I'll probably get that going at about 9:20, 9:15. But until then, thank you. and up the Toffees.